Back to Blackpool. Julian, we really loved listening to some of the people you were speaking to earlier on. So let's get back and find out who else you've got for us.
Hi there, welcome back to Blackpool. This was a budget in all but name today, wasn't it? And they often take time to sink in as we all work out exactly what it means. And the effects will especially be felt here in Blackpool. Let's talk to Joanne, first of all. You work at this community centre here. What is the situation like in Blackpool, specifically here?
Well, for our community centre, we've been here 22 years, so we're quite lucky. We're in our 22nd year. But in the last 2 or 3 years, the amount of poverty has increased. Food poverty especially has increased 100%. Our Raid the Ladder project, just in the last 3 months, has seen a 100% increase in the amount of people that are actually using our service on a Thursday. And that's people in work. There's people that we've classed as just about managing, that's no longer managing and now having to use food banks and services like ourselves just to get through the month so that they can feed their families.
What sorts of age ranges of people turn
The
up?
age range, I would say, we have young people, we have 18-year-olds right through to pensioners coming to our Raid the Ladder project every week.
Gosh.
And we're seeing new faces every single week, and that's just through word of mouth. We don't advertise it because if we did, we would be inundated.
Really? I mean, and the costs needed to keep this centre going as well are obviously going up. And what's that like?
Extreme. They are very high. So, as a centre, as a community centre, we've started to economise on heating, on what we can buy, and even some of the services that we can offer. We're having to cut back. We used to use this room that we're in now, which is our large hall. We used to use that on a regular basis. We're now using our smaller rooms because they're smaller to heat and less costly.
Phil, next to you, pensions have done OK out of this budget, haven't they, first of all? I mean, do you feel as if you're being looked after?
I think so. It's early days yet, but I think it's quite positive, really, especially the increase in the pension, which won't come into effect until April next year. But it will then go some way to mitigate the increase in the cost of living that I'm experiencing. So
things are OK, and you'll sort of keep the money that's given to you.
That's right. That's right. You know, we're getting £66 a month directly from the power company, and also there's an increase in the winter fuel allowance that, in my case, has gone up from £200 to £500. So I just put that money to one side and just draw against it when the bills come in.
What do you say to those people in their 30s and 40s who say that, you know, they're suffering on your behalf?
Well, when I was in my 30s and 40s, I was doing exactly what they're doing now for my generation of pensioners. So it's not something I really give a great deal of thought to because, you know, we all pay our stamp and taxes and it just goes into one great big pot, if you like, and then it comes out. So I didn't really give it a great deal of thought when I was paying my contributions when I was younger to where it's going, where it's being spent.
Sure. John O'Peakman from Christians Against Poverty. We're just hearing about advice. I mean, what advice do you give people here in Blackpool and wider?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us as a local church, you know, we've wanted to embody as much as we can the kind of love that Jesus shows, and actually we see it really as our task that as the squeeze happens, as we've seen, you know, just from the opinions in this room, as things do get tighter, as things get harder for people, like we believe it's the church's place to stand in the gap where there is a gap. And so we've partnered with Christians Against Poverty to deliver a life skills programme. There's also debt counselling available across the country. And so there is actually lots of help for people who are kind of struggling and finding that they're maybe falling through the cracks, or that the help that they thought there once was isn't available. I just want to be a voice of hope, really, and say, you know, if you look around, by all means search for Christians Against Poverty online, and there is help for people who are finding just the cost of living stuff difficult, budgeting difficult, any of that kind of stuff. There is hope and there is help out there.
Some good advice. Thank you so much to all of our panel here tonight in Blackpool. A big weekend, as you said, Dan, is coming here in Blackpool with Strictly on the way. I know you missed out last year because of COVID, but today it's been the footwork of Jeremy Hunt that everyone here has been judging.